All right. Good morning, everybody. Looks like audio is good. We are good to go this morning. So welcome, everybody. As always, thank you for joining us this morning on Engineering the Markets. My name is Jared, and it is November 21st, 2022. Happy Monday to everybody. Hopefully everybody had a good trading week last week. As always, we will start off our Monday session by taking a look at the SPX, or the S&P 500 index. We'll talk through what happened last week, but from a price perspective, expected volatility and expected movement, what sort of catalysts we had and what to be looking for this week, along with a couple of notes, just to kind of keep you on the right side of the trade for the time being. So without further ado, let's take a look at what we're looking for this week. Last week's expected move, if you recall, was about 98 to 99 points in the SPX. Market was pricing lower overall volatility comparative to the prior week, where we did see that CPI reaction that got us significantly out of range. And then, of course, last week we did have PPI, which did move the market a little bit on the intraday session, but more nominally, the SPX decided to kind of stay within its expected move boundary, the highs and lows having been marked on last week's price activity, along with a lack of a test. This is a fairly rare occurrence as long as I've been tracking this particular expected move. Usually the market will drive towards one of these key levels, usually touch it or possibly breach it on an intraday session. And we can use the when and the how of that occurring to anticipate whether things like a Friday expected move deviation is more likely to occur. You'll notice as well, just looking back a couple of weeks, most of the time you're going to see at least one touch of the expected move boundary, usually these red lines, and sometimes we do get these larger than average breaches. But there are cases where this can occur. If you look back, I think this is the furthest occurrence of this. It would be back in the latter half of September with the September 30th expected move, weekly expected move. We got close to those levels, but really the market stayed within and never had a test of the highs or the lows. So what does that mean for us as far as traders, and what should we be doing with this information? First things first, I would acknowledge that this week is a shorter week. We do have the Thanksgiving November 24th session as the markets will be closed. And therefore, the expected move this week is only showcasing 4 sessions of trade volatility as opposed to the normal 5. Additionally, when you look at how price is constructed on last week's session, a lot of the trade took place around a very key price level, arguably about 39.50 in the SPX. That's approximately where we saw some of the stall and just kind of chop on Friday, as we did have an option expiration, along with the price region where all of the trade took place. High to low, we're really only looking at about a 122 point range, and then some of the largest moves have been indicated here. Our actual close to close expected move deviation is certainly under what the market was pricing, and we only got about 0.28 of that close to close volatility. Usually expected move is all about where we closed the prior session and where the market expects the next close to be within range of, usually somewhere within that region. So Yeah, and the markets close early on Friday. If that is true, Brett, I'm not aware of that, and I'm sure that is true. Um, it's a shorter week. We'll just kind of claim that. Um, are we closing early on Friday? They close at 1. Okay, so it would be a shorter overall week. I'd have to look and see how the option market closes. Just because the open market is closed doesn't mean options close out. But normally, they somewhat coincide. There might be another hour of closure before the option market calls it quits. So, um, with all that said, the expected move this week is about 72 points. And what's interesting, anytime we have a previous session that's a bit less volatile, you're normally going to see the expected move region kind of facilitate some of the price region from the prior week. Arguably, I could mark the highs and lows of last week. It would bring my expected move down a little bit, but I'd be within about plus or minus 20 points. And the market is pricing and expecting that we're going to stay within this price region, of course, with a little bit of a deviation on the highs and lows. I find that kind of interesting for a couple reasons. One, as we look just at our trading product, the SPY itself, we see some of that similar characteristic here as well. A lack of directionality, a bit of a centralized price at 395 SPY, and some of our volume profile is building here. That's just regular trade ongoing and more transactional value occurring simply because the market isn't moving. What's interesting about that and what we should maybe think about for this week is this viability that the market doesn't necessarily have to move anywhere of significance this week. First things first, we kind of talk about the idea of what's going to move the market. And as I bring up things like the trading terminal calendar for both earnings and some of the economic data this week, there really isn't massive standout market movers on either side. We could certainly look at some earnings candidates, the likes of maybe Dell and Zoom coming out later this afternoon. Tomorrow, we do have maybe a slightly heavier calendar. VMware, Autodesk, these are some viable trading candidates. Baidu and Dollar Tree in the morning. And then, HPQ and Best Buy, just kind of identifying maybe similar industries and ones that may have a bit of correlation in both their reaction and how the market views their earnings data. But all in all, these are not key stocks. They're stocks that can be traded. They're stocks that will move on earnings, but the impact to the S&P, the impact to the NASDAQ, and even some of the sort of sympathy correlation, you might think like a Baidu comparative to some of the stronger or heavier Chinese names. Most of those moves are already baked in, and a lot of those stocks have had their earnings. We are getting to the tail end of the earnings season this quarter. So I look at earnings and I don't really see anything of note. Then I shift over to the economic calendar, and once again, there are some bits of data coming out, but nothing that I think the market is going to deem significant in regards to how price responds. Therefore, nothing binary, nothing that is going to be a date or a particular period of time that will drive fast or particularly impactful directional trade. Therefore, I look at this and say, okay, well, this week doesn't necessarily have to move the market. We we get a little spoiled sometimes as day traders and directional traders, thinking that the market should be moving when oftentimes the market actually likes to stay balanced, and usually within very key trading ranges, of which those do not necessarily have to be quite wide. They can be relatively tight. So I look at the calendar and I kind of get the sense of lower volatility, no binary catalyst of note. The odds and ends of things like speeches and manufacturing shipment index, those are going to be blips of data, but unless the market is responding to them accordingly, I have no expectation that we need to move on that data. And if it does move, it will be short-lived, usually something that is alleviated very quickly back to value zones in the market. So those two things kind of keep me looking at a market that doesn't have to be directional. Another thing that's more technical is this idea that we are kind of within a rock and a hard place on some certain indicators. I'll bring up two here just to kind of highlight what I mean. I'll have to use the addition of volume profile. Okay. So it does bring my price all the way to the left-hand side, but you can kind of tell here, amidst the lines and the data, that we are looking at a couple of key trends. I can get my Zoom to work. There we go. A couple of key trends that are indicating short-term participation, and then of course our longer-term downtrend. Yeah, probably zoomed in a little too much there, but the idea that the 200 period is coming up. Price has been elevated to a point where the 200 period is nearby. It's still in a declining position. Really, overall has been the key rejection point since as late as last August, when the price did respond against this level and really never looked back. And amidst that time, there was a short-term uptrend, both by price and our 20 and 50 cross, along with the sloping up 20, just kind of indicating that prices are advancing at that point in time. You can see the same characteristics here. We do have a cross as of the CPI reaction. We're able to get out of some of the chop that occurred prior to. And then, of course, the sloping upward 20 period, which can support price, even though price doesn't necessarily have to touch it to support it. It's more of a indication that the average participant during that period is under price and therefore winning in the position. Basically the bulls have the profit. So these are things that are conflicting, and usually when price and indication is conflicting, you will see stall. You'll see back and forth trade as new participants might enter on the bigger time frames looking for potentially further downside. But the short-term time frame is the one in focus, and it's what we're experiencing. Therefore, no necessarily decline in price, nor a very clear short. No real indication that we are declining and have rejected clearly. So these levels, the indication both by price, by the moving averages, and then of course the volume profile, which I'll zoom in here just a bit, shows us that we've got some issue up here. We have a lot of trade that occurred last week. It's kind of bundled around this key price level, about 395. And remember, when we stay in balance, the longer we stay in balance, the harder it is to get away from it. We tend to build up more and more gravity, more and more open interest, and market makers, the basically the driver of price in a lot of key assets, they like to be at these levels. They like to transact back and forth so long as the market price is willing to do so. So it's a battle. It's really is this idea that adding new risk up here has the potential to be limited. A new bullish position in something like the S&P might only have 10 to 15 more points to go, assuming the 200 is kind of the top. And the downside risk is significant, because if that doesn't happen, or if it does happen and fails later, then we should be seeing similar moves to what we got back in August. A bear, on the other hand, is potentially adding or engaging with the market here, knowing that there is potentially another upside swing in price, but their expectation is that the market will repeat and the market will see additional downside relative to what we got in August. Just more or less the last and highest buy to sell swing that the S&P experienced, the larger trading channel that the S&P is currently in. So this is important for us because as a short-term trader, we need to understand that there is this expectation from other types of trade, bigger time frames that are looking at maybe neutral type positioning. You think about the largest volume profile nodes that we have in the S&P, when we're at some pretty fair values on bigger time frames. 395 does stand out as a fairly massive volume node, not quite VPOC, but that is a bit higher for now, and we'll be looking at what we're currently trading at. The risk, of course, is that if we do sell, the pocket that we bounced off of is a void in price, and that would indicate a lot of risk coming back into equities. But in the short term, that lack of downside move, the sort of inflection of trends, and the price levels that we find ourselves trading at are oftentimes going to be responded this way. They will chop. They'll look to kind of have smaller moves while we're here. And really what we're looking for is a breakaway. We're looking for something to change so that volatility can be higher for the day trader. And in the short term, some of the topics we talked about last week, trading things like previous day close butterflies, or trading neutral when a market is not moving high to low, or sorry, when a market's not moving outside of its high to low region. You have key price levels that are risk levels, but the market is within those levels. Therefore, you trade neutral or balanced. And there's plenty of ways to do that. I really discussed just one, and that one's actually a bit more specific, because you want the market to be at a price, not necessarily to be away from other prices. So as you strategize this week, and as we kind of enter into the week, just know this week is not necessarily built for big moves. The thing that could make the market move is just certain assets driving towards their general trends. And in my opinion, there are still some assets that are struggling out there. Not only are they relatively weaker than the S&P, but they're in positions where if they simply move towards their trend behavior, the risk can really accelerate, and the S&P could kind of take it on the chin, notwithstanding. If that does happen, the S&P does have a shorter term volume profile VPOC at about 380-250. And if we see downside, ideally just losing something as simple as the short term kind of uptrend that occurred over the past couple of sessions, that could easily be a trigger. But you may also want to confirm that the assets causing the downside are truly selling off and not necessarily short term, just providing sort of a liquidity assessment. So the first asset that would be kind of on the chopping block here is Tesla. And no matter what you feel or think about the company, the asset itself, the stock that will move the S&P, looks very bearish. It's pretty much got all of its key trends pointing down. All of its key moving averages are sloping down. And we're at a level that I think is really high risk. The market here could bounce very easily, very quickly, and simply move away from this, which would be sort of a net bullish effect during that period. But as a trader, you understand here that if we do fall from these levels, there isn't much left on this chart to kind of catch the price. Arguably, one of the worst scenarios here for sort of a bull case being invalidated is we start to look back at when this asset gapped away. And while that's not necessarily the downside target, we've seen a lot of assets come back to their sort of momentum gap levels. And usually it's done slowly. It's done sort of in a stepwise fashion, but they do eventually get there. They come back to levels that haven't really been seen for a couple of years, along with the type of participation that occurred during that time, building up the volume profile for a market to maybe run towards. I do see this asset as one of those candidates. It's got really everything it needs from a price perspective to head there. And if you look at it this morning, just on the short-term time frame, we are starting to kind of break lower. I would like to see, obviously that volume continue to just kind of confirm the theme, but this is a risky stock. It just has all the characteristics of further downside. It's relatively weak compared to the S&P. You'll note that whereas the S&P, let me get that exact date, bounced on 10/13 and really never looked back. Tesla, on the counter of that, bounced around that time, traded sideways for the most part, and then saw another decline. So obviously it's trading much weaker than the S&P. Another asset might be Amazon. And these are some stocks that I think should remain on watch lists. They should be kind of evaluated based on whether or not you're going to be long or short larger index products, because these are some of the drivers. They are fundamentally how the S&P moves, and they carry significant market cap. Another stock might be a little bit of an odd one to point out is Exxon. And the reason being is Exxon has been so bullish this year in terms of the gain in market cap that it trades to a similar degree as a stock like Tesla. It actually has similar market cap weighting to the S&P. You'll notice here as I pull up the SPY, the holdings in the S&P are market cap weighted, and based on current readings, these assets here, I could have maybe grabbed the top 10, but these two here, they represent the same market cap, plus or minus a couple billion. So if one asset falls or rises and the other one maybe does the opposite or does something similar, they have a net effect. And that's usually how we get sell swings and buy swings inside of the market or the index product. I called out Amazon as well. Amazon still remains a very dominant force. It's essentially double some of those other names on the top 20. But unlike a Microsoft or an Apple, the difference in market cap is significant. Amazon has lost tremendous amounts of market cap this year. This comparison used to be much closer. It no longer is the case. The market is basically rewarding certain asset classes and certain industries much more this year than the larger tech and consumer discretionary stocks. So last but not least, just kind of talking through some potential counters to that. Financials are one of those sectors that is worth paying attention to. And I think from a technical sense, they look pretty good so long as they hold up amidst the volatility. I'm trying to get a good image here. But you can tell structurally that there is this sort of double bottom / W reversal forming with a very key pivot level. It's approximately 35.36 on the XLF, and the market has showcased twice that it can sell from this high, but it can also recover the entire thing. And I think like most bulls, we'd want to see a sector like that leading, not so much on the short to medium term, just recovering from a low, but we actually want to see trend changes. Weekly trend changes are kind of the key for a lot of these sectors because most of them haven't really gotten there yet. The argument here is that no matter how high we bounce from a low, the weekly trend is either flat or still bearish. And therefore, price is still at risk at these levels, albeit the potential of reversal is quite high. And, if you're thinking about measured moves here, a W reversal of $5 to $6 could lead the XLF back to all-time highs. So it has that potential if the pattern and structure plays out the way that it looks. A similar analysis for healthcare might not necessarily look as bad to the downside, but remember, there are some sell swings here that have been recovered. Another sell swing, another recovery. W, reversal structures that are on that edge, but the risk is highest here if it doesn't work. It's basically looking at similar periods of time where price was leading, but then the market just took a tumble and took everything with it. So we need sectors not only to perform well off the lows, but we need them to hold that performance. And that's where these larger weekly trend changes are what most market participants are looking for to assume something like a bear market correction is over. The idea that the market is no longer looking down and can start looking sideways to up in the near future. So with all that said, a little bit of a higher level for today. We'll talk through some more strategy this week, but as I mentioned, it's a slower week. You only get me for 3 days this week as well, so I'll have to kind of consolidate some of our discussion. But overall, let's trade safe, let's trade smart, and let's trade with the right assumption this week. Markets don't have to move. They can just move on the short term, and we can see a lot of oscillation. So be careful of that kind of trade. Stay tuned for pre-market prep. Like and subscribe if you like the content, and we'll talk more tomorrow.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to PreMarket Prep. I hope everyone's having an amazing morning. Hope you guys had an amazing weekend. Good morning, Norm. How are you today?
Hey, good morning, buddy. I'm doing all right. How are you?
Doing good, my friend. Doing very, very good. Um, Guys, let's give Jared a big thumbs up for engineering the markets every Monday through Thursday on regular weeks. I know this week we got some time off here and there, but yeah, guys, thank you for all the information he's putting out there. Let's get into it, guys. Another week of trading, a very short week. I think this week we're half a day Friday, right, Norm?
Yeah,
I
we
know
close at
that,
1 and Thursday closed.
and Thursday closed completely. So a bit of a shorter week getting into the holidays, and trading can be a little funny at times before the holiday and after the holiday. So just be on the lookout for that. As far as our gappers list this morning, we have some stuff in the green, some in the red, names that we already seen plenty of times. I was looking at Disney before we got on. They're obviously moving very well this morning, up 10%. See them here on our list, but we got some other ones that got some insane numbers here, up 104, up
That's a buyout. It's
55%.
worthless.
Okay, so bio worthless there. And then we got one up 55%, a low float. We'll dive into all that here, PBR on deck as well. Now, on the gap down list, we do have even more familiar names, guys. JD and if JD leading the way, but then you start seeing tons of Chinese tickers, Baba, Billy, Neo, XBEF, all on here. So we'll get into that. And then Coin and Mara also are dropping quite a bit here. So yeah, some good stuff to look into today. We'll dive into that. Before we do so, let's get over. I'll give Norm a little second here. We'll get over to our market pulse to see what's kind of happening for this short week.
Yeah, a couple of undercurrents. Obviously, we've got some big corporate action with Disney, which are showing there. There is China news. I guess there were 3 people that had died due to COVID, supposedly in China. First deaths since May, they say. So, hitting China over there. Obviously, the FTX and crypto deal still going on, hitting crypto. So we've got a couple of names there, and yeah, like you mentioned, we're closed. Markets closed Thursday, open at the normal time Friday, but close at 1 o'clock. So short day then. Start to get some Black Friday data in today. We just had really the only data drop, which was the Chicago Fed National Activity Index, showed a little bit of a slowdown. We've got the San Francisco Fed president speaking specifically about inflation at 1 p.m. So see if that does anything. Typically one of the more dovish members of the Fed. However, last comments she made last week were anything but. So see how that goes. Hello?
Yep, I am, but
Bueller?
mute
Ah, there you go.
was does not help me get through. All right. All right, guys. So yeah, we'll see what happens at 1 p.m. and how that takes effect. All right, let's jump into our gappers list. Let's start with what's gapping up today.
That's a buyout.
MGO. You mentioned some buyout. So again, for those new guys, just really nothing tradable here. It's just gonna go flat. So nice to see there. Let's head over to ICU. Now, ICU is a low flow at 2.4.
It's a low float biotech.
Yeah, this looks like it belongs in an ICU here. So yeah, it's not looking good at all, guys. So let's skip on this. Let me link my trade ideas first. Yeah, horrible price action, and
I had a
man, look,
feeling you were going to go there, by the way.
how can you miss it? You have to. You can't. This ticker's not gonna come up ever again in probably a couple of months. So let's take advantage of it. But just for quick action here, I mean, look at the action, guys. $5 in one can. There's a 5-minute chart, by the way, and we're shooting up to $10, and we have only traded 380,000 shares.
Yeah.
So anyone, this could have been Norm here with 44,000 shares at a $5 stock
I
and
promise
pushed
you
it
it
up.
wasn't, but
I know it wasn't you for
I
sure.
understand your point.
Will you trade this first, or will you have a BYD burger if you had to choose? You have to choose.
Mm.
We'll wait.
Mm. Burned to death, I think.
You know what? I think that you actually would trade this instead of having a BYD burger. Megan might not agree with me, but I
Yes,
think you
you're
would.
actually correct.
I think you'd be willing to trade this first. Uh,
Yeah.
Guys, let's head over to the next one out here. SHC, and this morning, this we've seen this one popping up and down here. This had the huge gap down, if you guys remember this, but it's really garbage. So Terra
Yeah.
Health. I mean, it's just I don't know. I don't know. We'll find better things to trade. I'd rather not
Terrible.
trade than trade something like that. And at WTN this morning, these guys are up 10%, 128,000 shares traded, and
No, no.
recent IPO definitely no.
Yeah,
All
it's
over the
recently
place.
de-SPACed.
Oh,
This is
yeah,
I guess, auto dealerships in the UAE. So I,
yeah.
I don't know. No,
That doesn't sound like fun.
no,
Um,
no.
let's head on down to Disney. All right, so here's a good one. So we got Disney. Actually, by the way, let me remove this stuff from last week so there's no confusion. There's nothing on our list yet, but Disney will be on here, guys. So Disney right now has got some good volume, guys.
Yeah,
3.8
they're the biggest
million.
news of the day.
Yeah, yeah.
CEO surprisingly out, replaced with the previous CEO, both named Bob. So we'll see if there's much of a change there. But Chapek out, Eisner, or not Eisner, Iger back in. For 2 years, they say, while they search for a replacement for him. He was CEO for quite a long time previously and did pretty well. So, yeah, well, I don't know. We'll see. I think their troubles run a little deeper than the last name of their CEO. But I know
Yeah,
this
yeah,
guy, Iger's very well respected in media and the uh, Wall Street circles. So we'll
hmm
see how it acts today. It'll be good. It's definitely in play.
yeah. Definitely in play. Market's liking what's happening right now with that catalyst. So we'll see how is that's going to react today. But in play, guys, looking really, really nice. Great pre-market
No,
activity
their
and everything.
last they just had earnings not long ago,
hmm
um, and that was the nail in the coffin. He'd had some issues. I mean, you see that massive gap down on the
Yeah.
9th. They reported after the market closed on the 8th. I think the board and everybody just lost confidence in him.
hmm
Of course, they had that big thing with Florida and getting into politics and people
Yeah. Yeah.
leaving and people upset. And so,
Yeah. I mean, things are not good for streaming and things like this, but you're right.
yeah,
These
that's a
guys have a
huge
lot
issue.
on their side that doesn't reflect good on them. So we'll
Things
see.
not good for streaming yet. Netflix is on fire this morning. So
Why is it? Is it has nothing to do with Netflix Catalyst? I mean, with Disney's Catalyst, right? But they're up 2.1 this morning, and they've been doing pretty decent actually
there's
the
some
last couple of
news
weeks.
about Xbox release and subscribers can now download and play certain stuff. I don't know, man.
Couldn't do
I
that
don't
before. That sounds like
I
something
don't know
that's
what
not
the
new.
news is.
um,
I don't know, man.
let's see. Let's put it
I'm the
on a
last remaining
secondary.
American that doesn't have Netflix. So,
I do not have Netflix neither.
oh wow, well,
I
both
had
of
it
us.
I had it for a while, and I just couldn't find anything good. Once in a while, they'll throw something there decent, but I just no. I have Disney, which I my TV's on Disney more than anything else.
If you have
With
a
the
kid, you
kids,
have to.
yeah, yeah, it's
You
on
don't
there
really
more than
have a
anything else.
choice.
What is that in YouTube Kids? It's yeah, that's where it's at. Um, all right, guys, let's go over here. PBR this morning. And what we're looking at here, this is up 3.4, 393,000 shares traded. Um, Not great, but you do got some movement here. Up 3.4. I like the daily, although it hasn't been a great trader. Very sketchy here, gapping up and down. This support that we're building here looks interesting, right? At least interesting. So let's add it to our secondary list for now. We can always come back to this in a second here. All right, our gap down list has better names so far. Besides Disney on the gap up, we have JD and all the Chinese tickers. Not all of them, but majority. You guys know which ones I like. I like Baba and I like Neo as well. But JD's been making some noise. Towards the end of last week, they had some pretty big moves here. So I'm inclined to have JD on the list today. We'll put JD. Let's take a look at Billy. Okay, light volume. Baba this morning is live volume as well, but Baba with the gap downs I enjoy, so I am going to add that on there. And then heading down to the last two on this list is Neo and XBEV, which they have some volume, but I look at Neo at 700,000. I know it's early, it's Monday. It's not huge, right? So maybe a possible for Neo today. Let's see what goes on there. And then heading back up to the list, we have Carvana. These guys have just been again getting destroyed. and they're
Yeah,
down
they've got
4.7.
another round of layoffs coming, 1,500 people, and word is that they are. Some people are thinking they could run out of cash before the end of next year. So, this company has a ton of debt. I've mentioned the problem that they're stuck in previously, that the whole supply chain COVID issue ramped up, as most everybody knows, the price of used cars. So they had to buy cars at an overvalued price. The market is collapsed. New cars are starting to come back online. Interest rates skyrocketing. They are stuck with a ton of inventory that they overpaid for.
Mm.
This is very heavily shorted, 40% short float. So
Not good for them, because usually
it's an
when your
ugly
headline,
situation.
when your headlines lay off, usually, right, stocks like that, because you're cutting costs, but there's a lot of underlying issues with this one,
Yeah,
as
they
you
got a
can
lot of
see.
problems.
I just don't see this one trading well, guys. I know it's in play, down 4.7, but I just don't know at this price. Let's come back to it. I don't see it as a big one on my list
It
this
doesn't
morning.
trade intraday very well. I
Yeah.
mean, it can be a good swing trading stock. I've
hmm
done so,
Yeah.
but as a day trade, not really.
I mean, since
Adam's asking,
November.
how do you calculate ATR? Look it up.
Yeah.
I don't calculate it. You can find it on a number of sources. Trading Terminal will have it in the fundamental data. Other sources will have it. People use it in DAS. I don't use DAS for it, but
Yeah.
yeah, I don't I don't
It'll
calculate it.
it'll take you too long
I look
going
it
through
up.
every day, seeing the moves, right? And then for the last 14 days or whatever time frame you want to do, just look it up. It'll be much easier. All right, so since the fourth, we've been seeing an increase in volume. Obviously, a lot of action there, especially once we dropped here. So could be a good possible, guys. We'll leave it there for now.
They had
All
their
right.
earnings after the market closed on the 3rd, and
Mhm.
spoke to some of these problems. So that's part of the reason you're seeing that.
Yeah. Mara and Coin are both down 5%. Man, look at Mara here, guys. Just getting slammed. Coin, not as bad because they're already hanging out here, but still losing some ground here at 45. I do like the daily on both of these. Pre-market actually is not doing much, but the daily is nice, especially on Coin. Coin's daily does look interesting. So I'm going to add this to my list, guys. I think there's some opportunities here. Just a whole lot of negative stuff coming about, all these coin tickers and companies. So gonna have that for sure. AA is Alcoa, usually not a great trader. And this morning we're not seeing anything special, Norm, unless you have any reasons why we should watch this one. I don't see anything great.
I don't see any news specific on this that really is doing much for it. I think this is just recession concern.
hmm
So
Yeah. So I don't see anything great
if
besides
somebody
this
sees
daily
something
here. Yeah.
fresh, let me know.
Yeah.
But
All right, our buddy here, Tesla. I mean, this thing has been fun to watch, very explosive, in play for sure. Already this morning, 1.2 million shares traded. We are down 2.3 on this thing. And again, just has not been fun. So making a new low. I think that's our new 52-week low for today, unless we did something else in pre-market here. But yeah, new low this morning. That is going to be 175.11 looks like. So
they obviously have a lot of things going on. Top of the list for this morning is a recall, a fresh recall. They've now had, recall after recall this year. 321,000 Model Ys, talking about taillight issues. And I think it's a software issue. So frankly, I don't know if it's that big of a deal, but on the backdrop of concern over Elon being distracted by Twitter and having to rehire Ligma and Johnson and reinstating Donald Trump over the weekend on Twitter. I mean, it's just been there's a lot of concern that he's highly distracted.
What was he tweeted? He tweeted out that Twitter's usage is at all-time high. I think it's all just under his account. He's creating all this action under his Twitter handle. Is insane. All right, but here we are, guys. Tesla definitely in play this morning. Not in a good way as far as their price action right now, but for us, good either way. So we're definitely on deck. We looked at Neo. I have that on my secondary. I think JD and Baba look better today as far as the daily goes, and I think that covers our gap down. Norm, what do you like this morning on your end?
I mean, the normal suspects. I
Yeah.
think we'll have, barring anything crazy, um, this week can go either way. Obviously, Friday will be slow, closed
Hmm.
on Thursday, so we'll see.
Yeah. Um, I also want to put on Amazon. I know Jai was talking about Amazon as well, so I'm gonna put that on here. It looks very interesting, and we'll leave to the room so you guys see what else you want to add to this list. What type of order do we use? I use a marketable limit order, and it's basically a market order with a restriction to, if you hit the bid, minus 3 cents, minus 5 cents. So if I hit it and then the price within that nano whatever second changes, it'll block me from going too far from where I actually saw the price, right? So it's called a marketable limit order. Norm, I think you use the same thing as well.
Yep.
And usually for the stocks that we're trading, rarely do I hit the hotkey
I
and
use
not get
10
filled,
cents.
or rarely do it says, oh, partially filled, right? That it's just our stocks are usually the spread is nice, so we get filled usually full
Usually
pretty
plenty of
quickly.
liquidity to be able to fill you
Yeah,
easily and right at your.
yeah, yeah. Um, Vanilla Ice, do you trade JD on Friday? No, I did not, man. I did not trade JD on Friday. It was wild. I did see that beautiful breakdown, but yeah, I did it unfortunately. All right, let's get to it, guys. Both chats. What do you guys like this morning? I saw a couple of names here. DD929 wants to look at Macy's. Let's take a look at Macy's. I think the fun is over for Macy's. I mean, we had a great time last week on it. A couple of days here did very well. I just think it's just going to go back to its normal trading range right now, or trading activity. Only 5,000 shares, so it's not in play for today, right? Definitely not. We'll need to see something at the market open that says, "Hey, this will be a good one to watch." Target was wild last week, guys. I mean, this thing gapped down, and we talk about these overreactions on these companies that are not strong right now because the overall market is weak, but they're not going to go bankrupt. At least let's hope not, right? That would be a very bad sign for the economy if companies like this start going bankrupt. But look at the bounce back, just real nice all week last week. So again, got to be careful with these buys. Is down? Was it down like 14%? I forget the number. It was down a lot, and look, it's just recover in 3 days there pretty nicely. So today, I think they're just back. See, if you notice, let me remove these lines real quick. Now, don't expect this to just keep going unless some news breaks out, right? That's not going to happen. I don't think so. You just might be stuck within this trading range. You're back to your normal price action, right? Between that 166, 158. So definitely not in play unless we get some volume and some crazy moves here. And what else we have, guys? Tesla is good. That is on our list. Nvidia, AA, we looked at. Let's see Nvidia here. Yeah, Nvidia, one of our usual suspects. Volume today is very light compared to what we've seen recently. So extremely light volume this morning. I'll put it as a secondary for now. That's going to change. We hope that. But right now, very light volume. Same thing with Apple. So all our tech companies under 500, at least the ones I looked at right now, besides Tesla. Tesla 1.2. So yeah, I'll keep that on deck this morning. And Disney, of course, receiving this news very, very well, up 10% now, and looking to test the high of the pre-market again. Um, Walmart,
I think
let's
the
take a
high
look.
was around 104,
Oh, it was a high earlier on. Oh, yeah, you had this one in candle here. Yep, yep, correct. 104, 104,
but
and then
the
yeah,
realistic high, correct? It's
yeah,
right
with the
up there.
volume, but yeah, good to clarify. Um, let's take a look at Walmart. What's going on there? No, their daily's interesting, but again, just the volume has dropped. You had your earnings last week, I think it was, if I remember correctly. That was fun, and now it's just kind of back down to your normal trading activity.
No
So
volume, no gap.
yeah, no volume, not really in play. Nvidia have it as a secondary. Volume is just a little bit lighter. We'll have than we like. We have to wait for the market open to see how that's going to react. mRNA just again this move, great swing opportunity there if you took advantage of it. As far as intraday action, I don't see it.
No volume, no
It
gap.
is, yeah, it is extended here on the daily. But I don't know. You have to wait for this to hit the scanners, right? That's my thoughts on it. All right, guys. Our list right now: Disney, JD, Baba, Coin, Tesla, and Amazon. I like this list. I like this list right now. So we'll keep it as is for now. We can always come back and add something to it when we come back from our community events coming up this week. Which again, the schedule will look a little funky, and that only happens 2 times a year during the holidays.
Yeah, guys. So I'm going to run through what the schedule is. Keep in mind, there are no webinars this week. We give everybody the week off of these. We're in the room for all the hours that we normally would be when the market's open. But as far as webinars, we take a little time to spend with family. Hope you understand. But back next week, Monday, 8 p.m. Eastern, onboarding and technology with Carlos. We've got strategy on Tuesday, next Tuesday. Andrew will be talking about, it's titled Coming to My Trading Room, kind of the 30,000 foot overview of his trading, everything from his setup to how he finds stocks in play to his favorite setups and trades and everything else. Then the following week, developing an educational plan with Carlos. Getting ready for the new year already. Oh my gosh. Wednesday, Randy Howell on the 30th, talking about staying disciplined when taking losses. Excellent topic. And then Kenneth Reed on the 7th, talking about handling pressure, which definitely you get when you're trading. John at 11 a.m. and Thor at 8 p.m. on Thursdays with mentorship. We do have, don't forget about the intro member, trading terminal. We'll hit this part first, and then we'll hit trading terminal. If you're looking to try out the chat room, you can use the promo code PreMarket24. That is PreMarket24, no spaces, hyphens, or anything like that. Sign up for the intro membership, that one on the far left. It'll be $24. It gives you 7 calendar days, 5 trading days in the room, unless there's a holiday. So no Thursday, but otherwise still plenty of bang for your buck. It is a one-time payment, does not recur. And then also we've got our Black Friday sale going on, our biggest sale of the year each year. 60% off the Elite Annual Membership. Use the promo code HOLIDAY60. And just a reminder, if you're a current member, even if you expire 6 or 8 months from now, but you know you want to renew and continue on, if you use that Black Friday discount, it will just add 12 months to the end of your membership. So it will extend you at that discounted rate. And tradingterminal.com, one-stop shop for all your trading informational news, everything from the squawk up top at the play button you see at the top of your screen. Carlos is circling there. Calendar, fundamentals, news, and the biggest, baddest are the scanners down there. So you can check out, which many people pay thousands of dollars a year for. That's what we use to generate our gappers list right there. Academy, where you can get some lessons and things. And then the simulator also, where you can practice your trading for free on a web-based replay simulator, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Spit it out, Norm. There you go. Lessons and things. Very profound, as always, as was mentioned earlier. You are on mute, brother.
I am on mute. There we go. Perfect. All right. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Norm. Let's get to it and see what we have going on here. Question from the chat: when will the stream deck video be uploaded? So it will be recorded this week. Last week I was pretty sick, so I wasn't able to record any videos, but there's a few, man, that I have on deck. That's one of them, the stream deck one, on hard stop versus mental stops. There's a tons of stuff that we'll be releasing on YouTube. So if you don't follow us on YouTube, make sure you do that, subscribe, and then under the essential trading, you're gonna see these type of videos as well. So be on the lookout for that. Yeah, Stream Deck is great. Although I definitely don't utilize as much power as this thing has. I use it for the pre-market show, which helps us, hit the thumbs up button. If you haven't done that on YouTube, you can do that, and we have that there. I also have queued up my favorite button here, which is going to be this one right here. So that's probably I have to use this more often. I
Should
do
make a
agree with
deal with
that.
Stream Deck to automate that, so it's
Yeah.
like prepackaged and already a hotkey whenever it's received.
I agree. I should make it so automatically just put up every couple of minutes, right? Just come up automatically. So yeah, so it's very powerful, guys. Yeah,
God,
you definitely want to use it. And if you're gonna like the way this thing works. So videos coming up soon. We'll record the video this week so you guys can have it and all those sweet things you could do with it, especially when it comes to trading.
Raph Silla is asking, is the photo of Norm used on dating sites when he was single? Raph, I'm old enough, and I thank God I am, that dating sites were ridiculed when I was single.
This was
You
not
remember
a thing.
that back in the day?
Yeah.
Now it's the only way people meet. But
Yeah.
back in the day, if you were on a dating site, you didn't want to get caught by your peers because it was embarrassing.
It was not looked great
anyway,
on.
Yes. I'm glad I actually met my wife and anybody I dated in the past through actually meeting.
You mean you actually met them somewhere? You actually saw the person live?
Like Little House on the Prairie stuff, I know, but
same with me, man. I met my wife the regular way, I guess, old-fashioned way. Yes, which was real nice. All right, guys, let's get back into trading. This morning, my friends, we have Disney, we have JD, Baba, Coin, Tesla, and Amazon all looking very good this morning. We'll do some levels for this, but we're early, so we'll take it slow. If you guys have any questions, we can get into that as well over on YouTube and also in our chat. So just let us know if you guys have anything that we can look into. All right, let's start with Disney. So Disney, guys, positive news today, new CEO on deck, and that's been received very well by the market, at least this morning. Again, as we mentioned, this is not like gonna make this thing run like crazy. They have some big issues that need to take care of. New CEO is not just gonna come in and make everything great automatically, but the market likes it. Where the price action is right now, 101.33. You do have a nice daily there as well. So you got some support and resistance. So I'm going to slam a level there. That 101.28 looks good. Oh, did it go? There we go. Here we go. That 101.72 might be a little bit lower. I like 101.47. So looking at the daily, you see that across the board. There are tons of stuff happening there when it comes to that. So I don't know. My phone keeps going off. Sorry about that, guys. It's somewhere there. So above the 104, above the pre-market highs, you do have a level here. It's going to be over at 108.88. So we'll do that there. And then towards the bottom, low of the pre-market, 97.22, and highs and lows for the last two trading days. Although they're all the way down here at 92, there is a level here that you might want to have on your list if we do decide to go below that low of the pre-market, 95.28. So that's Disney, guys. Great volume, beautiful pre-market activity. I think this will be the best one for today right now. Second one is Tesla. But yeah, this is looking good here, getting a little bit of resistance over at 101, our pre-market high. So very nice. Let's look at JD here. So JD this morning, we are gapping down 5%. I like the drop here. We don't have volume though. I just noticed that the drop is good. Volume is not great though. 300,000. So that needs to pick up. But this has been seeing quite some activity over the last couple of days, right? The last two trading days, at least last week. So we'll remove some of the levels we have here now. I'm going to go ahead and mark the high of the pre-market at 53.94. We'll do our low of our pre-market over at 53. So we'll mark that there. And then once you do that, you're surrounded by the highs and lows of the last two trading days. Some more levels towards the bottom. We're going to mark this one here over at 50. So we'll leave it there. This one we'll have to see. It might not do much, but I like the gap down, especially after running up good last week, selling off on Friday. Maybe some continuation back down to 50. We'll have to see how this plays out. Daily on Walmart looks good. Yeah, we'll look at Walmart. Let me add it here so I don't forget it. We'll look at the daily in a second here. Let's see what happens there. I didn't think we had volume, but yeah, volume is slight. Coin this morning. Coin is again just getting slammed. They're making a new low here, at least a new recent low. Down 4.6. Low of the pre-market today has been down to 42. It's got a pretty nice bounce since then. So we're seeing that 42 there, and then the low Oh man, it's a very good, interesting level. Let's look at a weekly here. Let's look at a bigger picture. So if you notice, man, look at this thing. This thing opened up at 340. Wow. No, 380, whatever this was. Yeah, look at this, man. Look at that. Open up at 380. At least that's what I see here as far as them IPOing. And they might not, they could have, no, they probably would IPO during market hours. So I was going to say maybe pre-market they shot up, but no, they probably IPO during market hours. I would expect that's how usually they do it. And let's just look at this drop now. We're sitting at $43. Crazy. But here, what I wanted to show you is that we are seeing some support here, right? So we're at that level again where we've seen some support in the past, especially after big drops. Now, the thing here is that this weak news continues to drive this thing down. So 42 is, I think, slightly, the low of this thing is probably a little bit less, like 41 or so. I'm going to mark that there. But again, you don't have a whole lot to go on when it comes to below this level. So that's what you have there, guys. Not looking great this morning. But again, the interesting part is that we are sitting at an area where we have bounced from before. Obviously, conditions now a little bit different than they were back then. Here's Tesla. Very active, guys. Down 2.5, 1.4 million already. So again, this thing is cranking here. Towards the top, you got plenty of levels. This daily looks amazing, by the way, too. You can see how great this stock has been trading. I'm going to mark down the high of the pre-market over at 178.60. So we'll slam on there. And then if I think this is recent low, right? We have not been down here in some time. 52-week low, I believe, as well. Yes, because this is 2022 here. It's the beginning of it. Yeah. So recent 52-week low on Tesla. Again, just not a whole lot of fun there. 175. Who would have thought this thing would drop this much? I want to see something in the back here. Let's see if we go back. We're going to see some levels here. Just want to get something just in case we do drop. There's something we can go off. 170 seems to be an area. We'll mark that there. Yeah, 170 would be the place where we would want to have some levels there just in case. And then towards the top, you don't got to add anything. You're pretty set on Tesla. Here is Walmart. I mean, not Walmart. Excuse me, Amazon. So Amazon this morning, pretty good on levels, right? Highs and lows are the only thing I'm going to mark down right now. 92.84. Towards the top, we do have a 93.87. So that's good there. Outside of that, I think you're set. Towards the top, plenty of stuff happening there. And then towards the bottom, I'm just going to pick up a 91.64 here. And we're looking at this one over here over at 89. So once you mark those two down, I think you're pretty much set on Amazon. Jared did go into very much detail on this one here and reasons to watch it. So yeah, we will definitely have this one on deck this morning. Let's look at Walmart. Walmart's daily. Oh yeah. Walmart's daily does look good, guys. I mean, you had the gap up here. You had higher lows coming up into today, right? And then you've just been battling this resistance at 150, 150.18, a previous day close, 150.23. So that looks good. I mean, and to be doing that when a lot of companies are just getting slammed, it's nice. And I mean, Walmart's low, guys. They had this horrendous, if you guys remember, report, right? Their inventory report and then just the earnings was just brutal. And from them, they have found a really nice bounce right back. They just last week closed this gap down, right? So it took them a bit, but they did it. They're here again. And again, they're fixing a lot of issues. Who was it? I went over the weekend. I went to not Walmart. I went to Macy's, and these stores are empty. Now let's look at Macy's. By the way, it is empty, and there's like everybody started their Black Friday like a week in advance. There's stuff there. No, I'm not sure if you've been. It's crazy sales.
I have not been to Macy's. I have not been in a Walmart. Thank God. Quite some time. I'm not a big fan of malls, but the stores I have been in have been empty. And I'll tell you the other concerning thing, like there's a fantastic restaurant in the town I live in, and the woman just opened a second location. Used to be packed all the time, and apparently the last 90 days she might go out of business because things have collapsed like 75-80% of business. And it's true. I mean, people just don't have the extra funds to do discretionary things right now, or at least
Right.
they're acting like they don't. I don't know that they don't have it, but
Right.
you know,
Well, that's the thing.
they're
Like,
holding on to their money because they're scared,
yeah,
and everything's costing more.
they're concerned. They're concerned, and rightfully so. I mean, I'm not going out splurging, right? You're mindful that things can get uglier than what they are now. So you want to be cautious. But yeah, we went in there, and there's some stuff, man, like 60% off, not on the clearance rack, like on the regular rack, and I'm just like, that doesn't seem right, you know?
Yeah,
And
who was it? It was what was the big retailer that reported I think it was Kohl's that said that they're noticing that like regularly priced merchandise isn't selling and people are waiting for discounts. They can sell the discounted stuff, but people, Peter said this is what the Fed wanted, and that is absolutely true.
it's definitely happening.
So we'll see how far it goes.
We sure will. I went in there to get a coat for my daughter, and I went into the wrong entrance.
Did you say a lump of coal for your daughter?
No, a coat.
A coat. Oh,
a coat for my daughter. And I went into the wrong entrance. I went into the one where I didn't know this now. They have Toys R Us on there. And that was a mistake. Because then that was 20 minutes of going through every aisle because she was excited. Oh my God, they're back. And she was going insane. And, we bought something there. So, but yeah, crazy. So back to this list here, Walmart. I like the daily on Walmart. But they're not really in play, guys. So I am going to bring them down. The daily does look good, but again, let's get rid of it from our main list at least. All right, that's what we have, guys. I mean, here's our list right now. Thor is out with his list. We'll take a look at a few more. 9:07. So we got some time for questions if you guys have any. If you haven't done so already, we appreciate it. A thumbs up over on YouTube. What are we sitting on our likes? What does that look like today? 111. We would love to be at 250, guys. 250 is like we're cruising at 250. So if you can help us get there, guys, we really appreciate it. Outside of that, how about our usual suspects that we have not covered? Apple. Is Apple doing anything today? If I could type. No, Apple's not.
Seeing
it's quiet.
I've got CNBC off to the side, and they're saying, hey, how bad were you considered to be as a CEO that the board reached out last Friday to the previous CEO and said, hey, man, you want to come back? And he was back on Sunday.
They still had his office and name tags, everything ready to go.
Yeah, probably.
Oh man, that is that is concerning, man. That is concerning. I will hate to be that guy that gets fired or let go, and then the stocks does this up 9% that you got to feel like crap. It's got to be a big confident killer.
From one Bob to another, and then back to Bob.
Oh man, insane. I'll switch out the last name. Can't tell. Agreed. Mashla Ali, you're giving us DWAC. It was fun 2 weeks ago. I just don't think the volume is there anymore.
It might do something.
It depends on news, right? Whatever comes out.
It appears to be not hard to borrow at the time being, but this one, it's probably maybe it does something on the news that Twitter reinstated Trump, but until he actually engages on the platform, which last I checked, he had not yet. I don't know.
Right.
I mean, if he does,
he
has some agreement with them about some time delay of anything he does put on another platform has got to be hours later. So.
Oh. Yeah. So, yeah, that'll be interesting. That'll be interesting. What else, guys? So Apple, not doing a whole lot, pretty quiet. They'll get the volume, so we just kind of be patient, see what takes place there. Let me make sure I didn't miss any tickers here. No, we're good on YouTube. Over in our chat room, any tickers I missed? Starbucks did something similar this year. Oh, I'm sorry, you're talking about something specific, but not really in play. They looks okay. All right, guys. Yeah, we have a decent list. We'll wait for our moderators to throw out their list. Right now, I have Thor only. He has Disney, Futu, Win, WINN, CSX, Nvidia, and Baba. Megan looking at Walmart today, so she likes that one for as far as the watch list. Peter, AMD, Apple, Tesla, Amazon, Meta, and Disney. I'll bring those up in just a second here. We got a little bit of time left. Chat, Carlos, when you trade the 5-minute ORB, the best strategy in the world, do you take it into account the moving averages when entering the trade or just VWAP? The moving averages, not as much. VWAP, yes. I don't want to be too extended from VWAP, right? But aside from VWAP, you could tell, like, if I wish I had a good example to, for the sake of time, I can't put one up right now, but I got tons of examples of good ones and bad ones, and we actually did a webinar. I did our webinar on this recently in our education center, and I show you some good examples and some real bad ones, right? But VWAP is more important to me than the moving averages when I'm looking at that 5-minute ORB. If it makes our clutter around the VWAP and candles within, will you not take the trade? Yeah, so chat, I think you can't really go just by that because sometimes they are, when the market opens, nothing's moving crazy. So they will be all together, when the market opens, and then they'll spread out as the price action moves. So you really can go by just how together they are in the MAs and the VWAP. But the best way to do that is look at that webinar that we did in the education center. And I got some good examples there. And I'm taking pictures or screenshots of new examples I've taken over the last couple of weeks. So we'll do that webinar again. I'll have even more examples to show you guys of that strategy. So be on the lookout for that. Are we able to watch the older webinars, Jack Cat, over on YouTube? Absolutely. Every single thing is recorded. We record everything. So you can come in there and you can look at the stuff that we did in June, right? So it's all there. You can go in there now and look at stuff that we did like 2020. Right.
We archive some of it and pull it just because, we refresh. We'll have the same presentation. We don't want it 4 or 5 different times. It's exactly. We improve the material and re-release it and stuff like that. But
the last 6 months are going to be fresh stuff. So the last 6 months are always good. Like, for example, I did my ORB class in probably in March. I'm going to redo it again with new examples, right? So you can catch it there. But yeah, everything's available to you. All right, guys, 9:13. See Andrew is in chat, ready to go, guys. We have Brian.
Yeah, he's
trading live. He's
early, man.
Yeah. So he's good to go there. And let's bring our moderators list. Let's see what we got going on here, guys. So let's go ahead and resize this, and let me bring this over so we can see our moderators lineup. Okay. Here we go. All right, you guys should be able to see that. Let me resize this here.
While you're doing that, they're asking if you use your stream deck for entries and exits.
You know what? I don't. This is what I'm saying. I have to program it. I've done it before, but I don't use it. And I didn't. And I put this on the video when I do. When I first did it, when I hit the button, I didn't like the way it felt compared to my my gaming pad, right? Because I have to look down.
So you've got a game pad too. Because some people use a stream deck to place orders and to trade and use hotkeys. I use a game pad as well.
That's programmed to hotkeys, right?
Yeah, it's programmed. That's, so
I got the exact same thing. And what I like about this, my hands rest on it, and I have a video on it too. And I don't have to look down because I know where the keys are. On the stream deck, you kind of have to look at it, So I'm focused on the price action. I know which ones I need to, sell, buy, cover. Everything is on there. So it's I prefer this.
Stream decks are awesome.
They're great. Yeah.
I like my gamepad, and it's not quite as expensive.
We are.
It wasn't a cost. I was going to get a stream deck, and they couldn't find them in the store. Like. They said they had 85 of them in inventory, and they couldn't find them. So I was like, whatever. And I got this, and it works great. Yeah. There
was one point where you couldn't find them anywhere, man. When COVID, all streaming stuff, cameras, lights, everything you just couldn't find it. All right, guys, here's a moderators list, 9:15 here. Thor, ready to go. Disney at Futu. Actually, I've read all of these except Jerry. So let's look at Jerry. He has Disney, Tesla, Netflix, secondary list, Amazon, and scanners. He's adding Zoom to his list. Brian is going to be looking at Disney, Tesla, short already. My man. Good job. We'll look at Tesla in a second. Carvana, Coin, and Baba. I have these 3 on deck too. I think they're going to be very, very interesting. Carvana is going to be wow. I can't believe how much they have dropped here. But that is our list. We'll wait for our fearless leader, if he's in the office, to send his list, and then we'll call it a day here. But yeah, that is what we have, guys. Let us know what brands are those game pads. Yeah, mine is, you're not gonna find mine. This is, man, we're going back to when I was like 16, and I used to play Battlefield with this thing. And I put it away somewhere. Yeah, Battlefield
It's
2142,
your
man.
Pong controller.
Oh man. And I put it away. My brother says, why don't you, because I made a hockey mistake. My brother says, why don't you use your gaming pad? I'm like, the light bulb just went off. I started digging it up, and it's been amazing ever since. All right.
And Jack is
Yeah.
correct. That mine is a Razer Tartarus V2.
Yeah.
So.
Absolutely. All right, here it is, guys. Andrew, his list: Disney, Tesla, Baba, JD, and usual suspects: Nvidia, AMD, and the T's and the Q's and all that great stuff.
I
Guys,
could guess that, by the way, Andrew.
you could guess what?
I know
his
you
list?
well enough. I could have guessed your list.
We've been seeing him so long prepare that list that it's like, yeah, it's insane. Guys, Brian and Andrew up next trading live for us here. If you haven't done so already, over on YouTube, hit that thumbs up, subscribe. But also, you can get in the chat right now. Like, you can literally come over for $24, use PreMarket24, and you can have access to these guys trading live. So if you want to do that, just go over to our
Come see
website. You
us.
can do that now. 7 days access, onboarding class as well. So don't miss out. Hop on over. Take care, guys. Trade safe. We will see you next time.
Take care, guys. Trade safe.